to the commissioner for coming on. Usually we have the commissioner follow the EEC board meeting. And as we know, there is no board meeting in July. And so we're excited for the summer appearance. I'm going to remind the commissioner and me to speak slowly as we have folks interpreting. And if folks have questions, please add them in the chat and or you can message me directly and I will ask the question. And as we get started, since we do have 137 930 callers on, if you can, maybe add to the chat who you are and where you're zooming from. We send the commissioner the chat so she'll know who was on the call. So, Commissioner, I will turn things over to you.
Thank you so much, Amy. And yeah, it would be wonderful to know who's on. So thank you. It's so wonderful to be here, even during the summer break from the board meetings, to have a chance to be in community with our 930 callers. And I actually thought I would start a little bit, as you all are probably aware, we are celebrating the 20th anniversary of the creation of the department. So I wanted to start with a little bit of reflections on our 20th anniversary, and then talk a little bit. We have a special board meeting coming up next week. So I want to make sure that you all are aware of that and have a chance to participate. As many of you are aware, I started my state service in 2005, 25 days after the creation of the Department of Early Education and Care, which was a really amazing opportunity to be there at the very beginning of the creation of the department. And before that, I worked for Strategies for Children, where we were advocating for the creation of the department. And the foundational elements of why the department was created are still really thriving in existence today. The first being a brand new state agency elevated within state government to focus on early education, childcare, and out-of-school time, to make an equal agency with our K-12 agency and our higher education agency, to recognize and elevate the role of early childhood education. And we have that today. We have a board of early education that matches a board and department of K-12 and a board and department of higher education. We have a secretary of education who oversees all three agencies, and we are co-equal agencies in government focused on the educational continuum for children and families and the students that we are all here and responsible for serving. And that was really the vision, that we would have a co-equal branch of government to elevate our field, to support new investments, and to really communicate the benefits of early childhood education for long-term educational outcomes. But the agency was also always founded and recognized around a dual mission and purpose, and that is also alive and well today. So one of those missions is really around the education of our young children and our school-age children, and making sure that we're doing what we need to do to level the playing field, support investments in early childhood education so children are ready to succeed in school and thrive well beyond, which we know early childhood education does. So investments directly in the education of our young students to prepare them for school and life success. And then the second part of our mission, equally as important, is that we are supporting families in their educational engagement with their children, in their parenting, and in their economic mobility too. And as I really reflect back on the last 20 years, I feel incredibly proud and hopeful, not because we've achieved it all, because I know how hard it is out there every day, but really because of the progress that we're seeing across kind of the key elements that we know will build the transformation over time towards the system we really need for kids, families, educators, and programs and providers. So as we think about family access, we're serving more children in childcare financial assistance than we ever have before, nearly 68,000. We have created some pretty significant reforms to break down barriers and make it easier to access care for families and to do business with the agency. We have more providers participating in child care financial assistance than ever before. And I know we have a long way to go. We have new information technology investments coming. We're all advocating for additional resources because we have a lot of families on the waiting list, but we are building the infrastructure for growth and for dignity and respect for those that we do work with every day. And so I'm really proud of that in our family access. The other big area that we've been working on, obviously, is workforce. And I would say in this area, we're also seeing pretty significant progress, both in professionalizing our field, making it easier for people to be recognized for the value of the work they do in early childhood. I think I heard just yesterday that for the very first time, I think we might spend every dollar of our scholarship funds that have been allocated for higher education for our educators. We've been making it easier to access that program. We've been sharing information about how to access that program. We've been working closely with programs and providers and social media. And we have a very special tool in our toolbox with Eugenia Soilis helping communicate externally. The fastest growing sector of our apprenticeship world is early education right now. And we're building a new credentialing system that will eventually replace our current certification. And it will have a pathway all the way from novice to expert with endorsements along the way and be built around a new educator portal that will bring greater technology and ease of accessing the system and tracking one's professional progress. We're going to continue to engage with higher education, but also build pathways outside of education, professional development pathways that meet staff where they are and support them on their professional development path. So we are making incredible progress in workforce. We've even seen increases in salaries. Wages are way too low still, but heading in a better direction. And that gets to sort of the program quality and stability work that we've been doing. The only state in the country to maintain C3 or Commonwealth Cares for Children, so operational grants, and recognizing that those are a core element of creating financial stability and investing in staff. We haven't had, there is no other state in the country that maintained those funds. And thanks to you all and the advocacy, we see that as a sustainable part of our system. We have work to do on that program. We'll be talking about that with the board on the 13th as we continue to grow and mature and make sure that we are investing those resources as effectively as possible in the stability and financial viability of our programs and of our workforce. And then the last kind of key piece, which I'm really, really proud of, is the infrastructure. We really, 20 years in state government is actually not that long. So we've been building a brand new state agency, and I'm really proud of the sort of foundational parts of the agency we now in place. We have a brand new research team. We're focused on data and analytics, evidence-based decision-making. So all that data we're collecting from you, we're using to inform decisions. We have a brand new family access team that a whole team of 5 people that we call our barrier busters, which doesn't mean we've gotten rid of all the barriers, but we have folks out there who are recognizing that that's something that's really key. We have new IT systems that are being built. They are not perfect. They are making great progress and strides. And we have a task force that's focused outside of EEC and across state government to think about what resources and technology in healthcare, in transportation, in higher education, in economic development, and in labor and workforce development, how we bring those resources to elevate and invest in early education. So when I think about the last 20 years and where we are today, I feel really hopeful about the progress we've made. And I feel really good about the path and the trajectory we're on. We have work to do in each of those areas to reach more families, to continue to help support the professionalization and the compensation of the field, to make sure our programs are financially viable and stable and can recruit and retain the staff that they want to have in the programs. And we need to continue to build the infrastructure. We have some key areas. But the last thing I want to say that I feel really hopeful and proud about is the incredible talent we've been able to recruit to EEC. So every day I get to work with the most incredible people. And you've all heard me say this before, but people are policy. And when we think about the progress and the trajectory, it's the talent at the agency, whether it's in our finance team, our family access team, our community engagement folks, our workforce. We are recruiting talent to work at the agency to work in partnership with our providers every day. And I feel like every day I get to go to work with people who are so smart and so committed to the work we're doing. So as we continue to make progress towards that sort of dual mission and purpose, taking our rightful place as an co-equal branch of government focused on early education, I feel very hopeful about the progress we've made and the work we will continue as we stay together to make going forward. So happy 20th birthday, EEC. It's really just a privilege to have this opportunity to work here at this time and in partnership with all of you. Okay,
and
those
Amy,
are my reflections.
as you were talking, another milestone is that you have come to this call once a month. I think other states also, have asked us, like, how do you get that? To have legislators and commissioners and secretaries and governors come to the 9:30 call. Like we've been saying, this is more than a call, it's a community, and just don't want that to go unrecognized, that we appreciate you and so many members of your team coming, on the call and to present, but also to be on the call to kind of in real time answer questions. And so as folks are listening to, continue to add some love and appreciation for the commissioner and the team in the chat. And the other thing, Commissioner, that you said recently to me around the task force is this is not about like solving the problems that we know the EEC is working on. This is about what does it look like for other folks to like, what are they bringing to the table? And I thought that was really meaningful to think about because so often, there's task force and advisories and all the groups doing the work, but this really is unique. And we had the folks on from the task force last week. They shared kind of an update, but that really helped frame it for me that we know EEC is working on like the purview of EEC, but this is really about what does this partnership, in the bigger picture look like. And the other thing, Commissioner, I'd love for you to mention is the license plate. That question has come up on the 9:30 call. There are some questions in chat. I'm sure Team EEC is also monitoring the chat and perhaps filling it in, but I'll turn things back.
I'll touch on a couple things. So one, and I didn't mention licensing, and we've like unpacked all of our licensing regulations too, and that's something we have to look forward to. I think in the months and years ahead is that we will continue to kind of revise and update those to reflect the work that you all are doing, kind of in partnership with you. And I should have mentioned the capital grants because millions of dollars have gone into improving the facilities across the Commonwealth in partnership with the Children's Investment Fund, and now with Mass Development as well. The first ever capital grant program for family child care providers, really recognizing them as the small businesses they are. So I'm really excited about that. And there will be I think we're very, very close to announcing round one on the Family Child Care Capital Grant Program. And there will be a second round, at least a second round, because we know how great the demand is. So hold tight. I think we'll have more information very soon on the timeline for those two announcements. And I just want to recognize again, Amy, like what you've created here and the opportunity for us to partner and for folks to engage in what's happening in the early education and care sector. I don't think we would be nearly where we are right now. Both the support you provided, obviously during COVID, but coming out of COVID, but how you've stayed and created community where we can come together in partnership to share information and think about what's coming next.
And just a programming note, the folks from Mass Development who are administering the family child care grants are booked to come on the call in September. Yeah. So they will be here. And then I can't remember the other thing I was going to say. So keep going.
No, and here you've created a place where we can like send someone to talk about the scholarships or send someone to talk about the new Family Child Care Capital Grant Program or the other things that are happening. So that's great. Before we lose too much time, I do want to just mention that we will have a special meeting of the Board of Early Education and Care, which is somewhat unusual next Wednesday, the 13th, from 9 to 10. It will be virtual. It's just a 1 hour meeting, and it's really being initiated because of new statutory requirements associated with C3, or the Commonwealth Cares for Children program. So we're looking forward to that meeting and having an opportunity. It'll be primarily focused around C3. So there are a couple key new statutory requirements, and the one big one, which is a process one, which is calling for this meeting, is that we have a requirement that we put out for public comment, the C3 formula, that there's an opportunity for the first time that we have a public comment period around how funding works for Commonwealth Cares for Children, and that we use that public comment period to share with the board and to vote and establish a formula going forward. So there are also a couple of other key statutory requirements I want to mention. So one new requirement around the C3 program that everyone will see coming is that programs have to demonstrate a willingness to serve children with child care financial assistance. So we're working on what that kind of attestation looks. It doesn't mean you have to be serving a child right now, as we know that can be a challenge, but we will be requiring programs per the requirements in the statute. And then we also are going to be encouraging programs to meet some salary benchmarks. Again, these are changes that were included in the FY25 budget, so we will be in compliance with statute by making sure we do those three things. So we will have a public comment period where folks have an opportunity, really for the first time in a formal way, to weigh in around C3. So we're excited about that. The statute also created an opportunity for the board, a requirement that the board actually vote. So it's really it's a maturity for the program in some ways to have it established in statute, yay. And then to have a public comment period where you and your colleagues across the state can weigh in on C3 in a public way. And then we can use that feedback and input. The couple other things I just want to say about our approach around the Commonwealth Cares for Children program, and I've said it here a couple times, this is a new program. We've taken it over as a state. It is growing and maturing. We are learning so much every year from all of you. And our approach this year is to try and make sure we have some stability and consistency in that program, while also making sure everyone has an opportunity, likely in November, to reapply, update their grant amounts. So the agency is balancing sort of what we're learning about the program, this new public comment period, new statutory requirements, with also trying to make sure that there's a level of stability and predictability for all of you. And we're doing that in the context of a level fund budget. So we are so excited to have $475 million for this program in this fiscal year. And as all of you are aware, that is the same amount that we had last year. So we are also balancing how to make sure we're supporting new programs and growth and expansion as well. So a lot of balancing acts happening around the Commonwealth Cares for Children, and I'll have a chance to talk a little bit more about that during the board meeting. And then you all will have an opportunity during a public comment period to kind of share your feedback around the formula itself, but around the program more generally. Okay.
And Amy, just to frame
there.
that, you're doing this because in the legislation that passed through the budget last year, there were certain things in that now you as an agency have to do.
Right. You said it much clearer. So the budget that passed, the legislature put new requirements in for us. One is programs have to show they're willing to take kids with child care financial assistance. Two, we have to start making progress towards salary benchmarks, so that will kick in more over time. And then the third thing is that we have this formal public comment period. So those things will definitely be happening this year. We have to have the meeting next week so that we can have a public comment period and still have people to be able to do reapplications and recertifications, we hope, in November, and make sure people have a chance to sort of update their data as we go into this rest of this fiscal year. Okay.
Maybe the other thing I put in chat is a research partner is looking at how folks have used C3 around compensation, and they want to talk to family child care providers and to center base. So we include it in the 9:30 call email, And if you're not getting a 9:30 call, email, sign up for that. But I added it to chat too. So I think that will, it's not government, it's an outside research partner.
Yeah, so let me just make sure from the EC team I didn't miss anything. Right after the board meeting, we will post that public comment information. So you'll be able to submit in writing. And then we will also have at least one, probably one public session where folks can come and give comment virtually. EC team, did I forget anything about the board meeting next week you want to make sure people are aware of?
No, Kamish, I'd just say that the team's dropped in the links. Sort of streaming is available where you always find it. Tune in on YouTube. It's like the commissioner said, it'll be virtual. So all the information will be posted on our website in the normal place for folks to be able to tune in. Thanks, Eugenia and Addison, for posting that.
Is there an opportunity to hear more about the salary benchmarks and ways EEC envisions centers reaching the goals without raising tuition above affordability, especially for working families? So you've mentioned this balance of like, how do we meet the goals in either a level funding or not raising tuition? There was also a question about the career pathways.
So let me just say that I think part of what we want to continue to do this year is learn, right? We want to, and so making sure that we're not making abrupt changes that will disrupt or create a need for increases in tuition or affect access for families. Or one of the important things about this program has been its flexibility. So as we make changes over time, we want to do it in partnership with all of you. I think that's something that the public process will allow. So a lot of comments, Kat, are something we can gather also during the public comment period and consider as we think about sort of the long term. You know, that this program will naturally change and evolve over time, but it's not all going to happen at once. And we're committed to doing it in partnership with all of you. Amy, what was the second question?
The career pathways.
Oh, I think we have pretty good news on career pathways. I think we are going to be able to fund career pathways. And I believe Chris, do you want to jump in, or Eric? I see you too. Between the line item for career pathways, plus some scholarship funds, plus some funds from the Fair Share Supplemental, we anticipate being able to make career pathways nearly whole for this fiscal year, and those contracts are going out to the community colleges, I think, very shortly.
Yeah. Yeah, Commissioner, and I'll just add, similar to last year, like the commissioner had mentioned, we're sort of bringing a few funding sources together. We will probably have to go back to the board and take action again to solidify that. So likely to see sort of an initial contract go out and some updates once we are in our normal operating procedure of the board, like the commissioner said, to make that whole. But we are hoping to get some initial contracts out to folks in the very near term.
And the priority, both from us and the Executive Office of Education, Administration, and Finance, was to not disrupt any students for the fall. So those contracts will be focused on making sure that the program continues as planned for the fall as we figure out additional funding for the spring, which may require board action. But we are incredibly committed to the Career Pathways program, both the community colleges as well as our partnership with Urban College. It's been such an important part of our professional development system. And also, I think it's also been a part of why we've been able to maximize the higher ed scholarship programs in partnership there. All right, I know we're at 10. It always goes so fast, Amy.
I know, half an hour. I think I got all the questions that were in it. Of course, when I tell everyone to let us know where you're zooming from, then the chat is with all that. Also, please, the love and appreciation for the commissioner. We know how hard it is to work in government, and we CRC's partners, both sharing information, being a friend, being a critical friend sometimes. But just want to thank you for the update. So the board meeting in August is virtual. As Chris said, you can watch it on the YouTube channel. And then at that board meeting, Commissioner, you'll give more information about the public comment period. Any sense for how long that public comment period will last?
Chris, do we have it set for 30 days?
Okay.
Oh, yeah, it's about 30 days, I think mid-September. We'll have sort of the formal document, it'll include it, but
Okay.
I believe it's like middle September, maybe September 12th, if that's a Friday.
Just to
If
get a sense so people know that it's a finite time, to participate.
Yeah, and we'll likely do like the commissioner set up, sort of public session, probably later in the afternoon, into September, a little bit later in that time period too.
And if you have heard about the 9:30 call from somebody else, we do send a weekly calendar, although our email platform has been having some challenges, but we send the calendar for the week. So tomorrow is sharing the microphone. And so we'd invite folks to come back. We're going to hear from folks who went to the National Association for Family Child Care to their national conference. So they're kind of teed up to talk through. And then on Thursday, we will have Brendan Fogarty will be back on to talk about a new grant opportunity. And so then we're booked through August. We're booking for September. So you also, if you have folks that you want to hear from, please let us know and we will connect with them. Commissioner and Team EEC, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Excel Linguistics, for helping us with translation. And as I said at the beginning of the call, recordings in all three languages will be available on our website. And excuse me, will be available on our YouTube channel, and you can find everything on our website. But just, Commissioner, I want to thank you so much for joining us. And we will see you. We'll get some dates on the calendar starting in September.
Look forward to it. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy your August. Do something restful and restorative, I hope. Thank you, Amy and the SFC team, for all you do. We'll see you all very soon.
Take care.